recording in YouTube. So good morning, everyone. And we'll do a prayer to Manjushri. Lamandam Gumbo Jambo Yang Lan Chanso Kangi Londe Jinyan Chandra Nidra Nambaya Rasa Jinyan Dengen Jishin Sijir Nijin Duga Lekan Kanda Sebe Tsenore Mari Mendon Domai Jise Dozo Kuna Pucheta Yan Lan Juju Yang Den Zon Dudra Cheto Nimo Nimo Denje Chanto Tote Mari Manzen Domai Nyoku Jinye Jinze Racheno Denen Dati Sache Dazen Yenden Lezon Jase Tuwe Chodan Chodan Chonyen Jen Dale Menzen Jambe Yang Lai Marabazana Dev Marabazana Dev Marabazana Dev Marabazana Dev Marabazana Dev Umarabazana Dev Marabazana 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 Dev Umara Bazana Dev Marabazana 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 Umara Bazana Zenden Jeje Jera Zenje Dale Demon Razane Kadan Denje Shunlo Tobai Loje Bobe Noan Zandus Nanje Jimo Redan Jimbur Nanzen Janda Kadin Zonda Majiba, Palo Jinji Jinja Bisha Jinda Jima Mepala, Muira Tutte, Wasum Gubachi, Bimwan and Chanza, Jinja Zujo, Chiwan in Zaratan do to Jesu Zimbaranza Duso, Congisha Zamba, Mimungus and Bendon Rashin, Zimbizus and Rumbarbe to Kunmik in the Zinju. Ujidama Pination and Jidens on Jekonjabe, Tombe Mokarvesha, Vedrinda, Insurrection, Ujinson and Bemendon was Jai Nanduranjan and Jedrots into the Jin, then Chombarwe, Pemanjun and Dale Insurrection. Gumbulo Drari and Devandan, Tome Yencholan Chichinda, Chijun Janan Bozo, Zamlin Jenjo Nanjenda Ejon, Counted the Karin Jenny Bego, and then Gunjunga Vishas Doni, Pippins, Baby Nanjava. Jimmy Wesley Jajinda Ejon, Ridon Jambashin, Jinale, Gumbilone, Bobby the Jendo, Jenzema Mivam Jambi on Jenda Ejon, Kongidala, Rivalovadan, the Jitin Jemano, also, the Bazadan, Grishinabe, Mujitin Jelamenda Ejon, Namunguru, Jinibum, the Jezala Punjaran, Pujichi, Pujigala, Mendanawa. Palden la menja jenda ejon, yende sanje kundanya naya, kadin sanje kunela bikwen, saye la menja la soande. Dazondo yela manche la injer, onda juju donge jidena, de jelo marjirva kansoda, tindir dambe chujinja mbembe. Sembar devanta dan dirshe, namorya dambal, haye ketan ludame jinke, ndumda name ikenamda, dua kunjidanam chisambar. Tamje ke do sosur te jurchi manjur do anakada nyambe senjen tamje namdur tengi dewa aname ko yanga batso di sanje jin bhagwan ko chela Chine Jango Prasha, Eichedo, Tiwachimbushimo, Jazichimbushivala, Niji Chanjusen Bichabalan Juba, the Nitsul, Shindusene, Yamsoloma Jo and the Samba Shanchuchu, the two Jabalanche, the same hours. So, before we begin this meritorious activity of Dharma teaching and listening, that in order to transform all this activity into the cause of enlightenment, and we need to add the tincture of bodhicitta. So how to do that? Then generating that kind of mind, awakened mind, that I'm going to study this Mahayana scripture, the composed by Shandideva, the way of Bodhisattva's life, and then willing to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all the motherly sentient beings in order to lead them to complete enlightenment. And for this purpose, I'm going to study and I'm going to implement all these instructions. So such a generating that kind of sense or that kind of willingness, it's considering as a generating bodhicitta. And so based on that intention, and then also way of listening Dharma teachings, that while listening and like listen carefully in an excellent way and try to implant the meaning of the teaching as well as the words which reveals the meaning. So with that kind of preparations, the preliminary or the preparations, we need to prepare in this way to listen to Dharma teaching. And then the actual Dharma teaching, after that, now we're beginning the actual our meritorious activity of teaching and listening Dharma. So that we are studying this way of Bodhisattva's life, which contains 10 chapters with 4 themes. That the first and second theme, which is covered by first 3 chapters, first, second, and third chapter covered the first theme, and then 4th, 5th, 6th chapter covering the second theme, which is the how to generate bodhicitta and receive bodhisattva's vow is the first theme, and then the second theme is how to maintain properly without transgress, and if transgressed it, how one can repair or again receive. So these kind of things that we already studied. And third theme, which is covered by the 7th, 8th, and 9th chapter, the theme of that third theme is talking about after we well knows how to maintain this bodhisattva's vow or the bodhicitta within oneself, and further how one can improve, develop this bodhicitta, and until what stage that the bodhicitta can be developed. And that is shown from this third theme. And then the fourth theme is dedication and making aspirations, which is covered by the 10th chapter. So among these 4 themes, we are at the moment that we are studying the third theme. So to develop bodhicitta or to improve this Mahayana spiritual path within oneself, and it requires 3 things. 3 conditions, which is the first is diligence, and second is the meditative concentration, and third, wisdom. Through these 3 conditions, and then we can develop or improve our Mahayana spiritual path or the bodhicitta until its final stage, until it's reached its destiny. So among these three conditions, that how to develop the diligence and meditative concentrations, so far we studied already. And then now that we are studying the final one, that how to develop or improve the wisdom in order to complete developing the Bodhicatta or the Mahayana spiritual training, Mahayana spiritual path. So we need to develop the wisdom within oneself. And then how to develop the wisdom. So from this 9th chapter, whole this chapter, and the main theme or the point is to develop our intelligence or the wisdom to understand the things or the phenomena as it is. That's the main wisdom that we are trying to develop through this study of 9th chapter. So this 9th chapter actually kind of like mainly talks about the Mahayana view. The view is always important, that whatever we practice, the view and meditation, and then conduct and fruition. Without view, and not really we have the kind of like a meditations. And then without view, all the manner, without view, I mean, all the meditations just becomes like a worldly or the mundane meditations, and without mingling this Mahayana view, which is emptiness. And then likewise, without view, without mingling with our conduct, the view, and all our manner and conduct, doesn't matter how much it is positive, but it all becomes the kind of like a mundane positive, worldly positive conduct. It cannot become beyond mundane path. So this view is the one that which transforming our meditation and our conduct into the cause of fruition, enlightenment. So from this 9th chapter mainly talks about Mahayana view, and particularly within Mahayana, this Shantideva and this 9th chapter of Bodhicaryāvatāra, it talks about the middle way view. So that the middle way class within the Mahayana Buddhism, there are two different classes: mind only class and then the middle way class. So this is particularly from this Bodhicaryāvatāra, the view which is Shantideva introducing is the middle way school's view. And within a middle way school's view, there are also slightly different two levels. And this is normally we call this kind of like a Umarangjupa and Umathaljurpa. So this Umathaljurpa, which means the highest, the second level of middle way school's view, the higher middle way school view. Within a middle way, there's a lower middle way school's view about phenomena, and then the higher middle school's view to the phenomena. So this the particular chapter in this Shantideva, introducing the view in this 9th chapter is that particular view. So that's, you just keep in mind. So from there, then when someone's try to establishing the view of that highest Mahayana middle way school's view, and actually the view is the one where we argue so much. My view is right, your view is right, their view is right. And every religious say, our view is the perfect, and rest other is the something wrong view. So this view is actually the core of the root of the conflict, root of the argument. It is. And it is just natural. Even within a mundane, we argue, we fight, we war, we battle, even between countries and countries because of the view. So the way I view, if they not view, then I will fix them. And then they also do same thing. If I didn't view as they view, then they will try to fix me. So this is, you see, the view is the one major root of the problems, actually. So the view. So therefore, this 9th chapter, actually, before we begin, I will also want you to know, it is kind of like a very, within a very, how to say, short, within a very short scripture. How many stanzas we have in this 9th chapter? Almost 100 and something. And then, we can look here. 167 chapter. Within this 167 chapter, Shantideva actually trying to conclude the everything, introduce its view, and then prevent or avoid all the debate that what other schools debating about the Shantideva's view. And then he is also preventing or avoiding or debating. When we say prevent or avoiding, it's different now. Shantideva not preventing and avoiding with the force. Shantideva preventing and avoiding all the others' conflict and what do you call it? The criticize. Is it? Disagreement, yeah, disagreement through the logic approach, through the reasoning approach. That's how he avoiding and he preventing. So actually, this 9th chapter is actually equals to the what do you call a middle way scripture composed by Chandrakriti, whole volume. It's Shantideva containing within this 167 stanza. So therefore, even when we study, we consider this is a condensed subject of middle ways view. So therefore, sometimes it is very tough subject. So from beginning, we should prepare this. Otherwise, later you will get lost what this is talking about. So therefore, it is to understand this. Also, it is also very important to understand what the other schools view, what the other schools the view upon phenomena, view upon those things. And Shantideva here just going like assuming that we already studied this, and then he's just pointing out their main argument, and then through the reasoning, rational answer, trying to prevent all this get to criticize. All this criticize is preventing.
It's just not inviting conversation.
Not inviting conversation. No, it's not inviting. It is inviting. Letting them come, letting them talk whatever they want to say, and then answering according to their question. And through that way, kind of like a confuting their wrong view, confuting their view. What to say? Confuting, right? Confute. Confute. How to say that?
Refute.
What to say?
Refute.
Refute. What to say? It's confute, actually. You know, some people's having a wrong view and then they think it is right, and then let them talk first and then confute, you know, and then point it out why it is wrong with the rational reason. And that's how kind of like a how to say, proving them as a wrong with the what do you call it? With the reason, right? Not with the stick. not with not with the stick and not with the weapons. Anyway, so just prepare that before you study this 9th chapter. It is very profound, how to say, view introducing the highest middle way school's view. And then when he establishing the highest middle way school's view, and then there are a lot of conflict or the lot of contradicting debate it's arising. And then he kind of like blocking all of them one by one and proving that this is the proper view. Actually, that's how that Madhyamika, the middle way, came to saying everything, every phenomena as emptiness. Now, also we can understand through this that how Mahayana came into the conclusion saying everything is emptiness. It also goes like this. It leads you step by step, and why finally Mahayana or the Buddha Shakyamuni saying finally that every phenomena is emptiness. How it is end up conviction, right? Conviction, and to get that conviction, how got it, that conviction, that saying this all the phenomena is emptiness. So it goes very much with the. This is why I think some even some kind of like modern scientists, they saying Buddhism is not religious, it's science. Because when it establishing view, then they very go with the investigations. Investigations goes to the one by one. When I describe, you will understand how it is going. Very kind of like a interesting argument actually. Those all debates are not really like kids arguing. It's not like that. It has a very, what do you call conventional reason actually. Very, very much looks like, oh, if we accept this view has a very good way to conversate, like that. That kind of reason they have, but there's still somehow some point that's missing. That now Shandideva was pointing out, that one you missing, other that's okay. So this one you should modify. He's going like this. So therefore, so just to open your mind a little bit bigger than before, so to study this view, that wisdom means that seeing the things as it is. Seeing the thing as it is itself is view. View is that is, how to say, that is it, the view. And right or wrong differentiate from there. So, and then also how much you get close to the truth, and that much you become, what is it, developing wisdom, you know, as much as you getting close to the truth, close to the things as it is. And then that much our wisdom is developing or improving to see the phenomena as it is. So then without all this investigation, all those classes that the Sharvakas, Yanas view, and then the mind-only class view, and middle way view, and then we kind of like if we jump from mundane's view to the Madhyamika view, then it is a little bit, there's a lot of gap that sometimes maybe not really makes sense. That what middle way talks and what we view, what we normal people view, it's kind of like it has a very big gap, so we cannot connect. So to connect, then it's step by step in between. If you put this Sharvaka's view and then stop and they developed from mundane's view to Sharvaka's view, from Sharvaka's view to mind only view, from mind only views to Madhyamika view. See, that's how we develop in our wisdom. What do you call it? This is the purpose of having this different class, this different schools. So it is just like going to the school, that kindergarten school, then you promote to the secondary school, then you promote to the high school, then you promote to the college, university, then going upper and upper. So this also, wisdom is also like that. We are developing our wisdom step by step, and then how it is getting finally into the emptiness view. So why the Mahayana, in particularly the middle school's way, that viewing everything as an emptiness, and that also tells us through this 9th chapter as well. So anyway, so last time we covered actually this first stanza. The first stanza is actually very brief, introduction of why we need wisdom, the reason why we need wisdom. It's said that all these branches of the doctrine, the enlightened sage expounded for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, they must cultivate this wisdom who wish to have an end of suffering. So till now, from chapter 1 to this chapter 8, we studied from the generating bodhicitta, and then generosity, morality, patience, diligence, and meditative concentration until this last chapter, chapter 8. So all this actually, what telling us that Shantideva trying to introduce us that in one point, in one angle that Shantideva was trying to point out, that we should not spend our time or they spend time in this cultivating this mundane academic educations and try to achieve those mundane fruitions, such as eightfold deconscience. Eightfold deconscience is the highest stage that we can achieve by engaging into mundane path, mundane idea. And that's what the final goal or the destiny of involving in mundane activity. And then in order to achieve those things, we need to involve into the mundane activity. When we involve into the mundane activity, then those all conditions, many various conditions or environment force us to engage into demeritorious activities. So those Shantideva want us to not just spend our time and our life engaging into those activities. And if one should not engage and spend our whole time in these activities, then what we should do? Then Shantideva was introducing from chapter 1st to the chapter 8. So instead, you can spend your time, study these things, practice these things, implement these guidelines implementing these guidelines brings the meaningful life for yourself as well as for your family members and neighbor and the community and country and so world and so on, universe. So anyway, so until now, what Shantideva was saying is that avoid those, in short, avoid those demerit activities and then engage into those meritorious activities. And then now, okay, once we're familiar with all those meritorious activities till these meditative concentrations, and then what is the next step? Now what? Now what should I do? Then Shantideva said, okay, now this is the time for you to cultivate the wisdom, develop the wisdom within yourself. By how? And then mainly, as I told you last time also, you may remember that this wisdom, the teaching, trying to developing wisdom is actually, if we go really orderly, then it is after we familiarized or we habituated ourselves into all those positive activities till these meditative concentrations. When these all becomes our patterns, when these all practice becomes our patterns or our habits, and kind of like it becomes one, right? So our nature becomes like a generous person, and our nature kind of like becomes like a willing to preserve the morality, and our nature becomes the very willing to have a patience and diligence and meditative concentration. When this training idea, the path, and then the self mingled and become kind of like a inseparable, and when person trained until that stage, then this, if we really go order, if we really specific order, if we practice, then this wisdom should develop after that. But for us to understand everything ahead and then later to implement all those training, and it is also worth to study all this ahead. But this is, I mean, like there are some instructions go step by step, right? And teacher will teach you only once, and he will let you practice until you familiarize with it. Then you come, give exam, and then he will give the next steps. If we go like this way, this is kind of like a very specified order. If we want to go with this training, the way of Bodhisattva's life training, if you want to do it in this way, then one must familiarize with the generosity, morality, and then all this order like that. And then first give just first chapter, and then let practice the first chapter, and then the second chapter, let's practice the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter, like that. But here we are not doing like that way. We are just studying whole complete package, and then later we will divide our own. Okay, then we will how to say, we understand our own order, and then we will divide ourselves after completing. And that's the another way of learning teachings, learning kind of like philosophies. So the second way we are doing. The first way is actually very beneficial if we do the first way. It really kind of like becomes kind of like an unmistaken, ripened fruition. And then second way, some fails in between. Then they give up. Oh, no, that's not for me. Walk away. Anyway, so So we are doing this second way anyway. So we are just learning everything ahead, and then later maybe we are doing, or maybe we are trying simultaneously. We are studying simultaneously. We are trying to practice. That also can be done. Anyway, so here it's saying this one, right? All these branches of doctrine means from the first chapter to this 8th chapter, and sometimes mainly will be used from the perfection of generosity to perfection of meditative concentrations. That's what it means, all these branches of the doctrine. The enlightened sage, the Shakyamuni Buddha or the Buddha, expounded for what? For the sake of wisdom. And without wisdom, engaging into all this, implementing all this guideline or the instruction, it is still positive, it is still meritorious, but it cannot really become the condition, causes and conditions that what we're really aiming for engaging into this Mahayana spiritual path. So therefore, so that expounded for the sake of wisdom. So the wisdom, therefore, that person, whoever, wish to have an end of suffering, they must cultivate this wisdom, right? Therefore, they must cultivate this wisdom who wish to have an end of suffering. So the end of suffering not only refers to the suffering itself, but also refers to the cause of sufferings, which is karma and afflictive emotions, and particularly and self-attachment, self-centered attitude, and dualistic mind, right? Dualistic view. So dualistic view and self-centered attitude and the 5 poison, and through the 5 poison, we cultivate the karma. And then through karma, actual suffering, it's ripening. So to eradicate all this from its root, completely from its root, eradicate all of them, then wisdom is the one that must cultivate. Without wisdom, and no matter how long I do meditations, no matter how long I perseverance or I do diligence to engage into those generosity activity, morality activity, patient practice, and meditative concentrations, that how much I do with the diligence, and it doesn't really become, it doesn't really penetrating, or it doesn't really eradicating the root of the problems. So to eradicate the root of the problem, and then this wisdom must need it top of those methods, right? So till now, all this becomes method. And now upon this all method, and we need to add this wisdom, we need to mingle this wisdom. And then when we're able to mingle with this method, the wisdom, then it becomes like the method and wisdom union path. When the wisdom and method becomes union path, then that path is the exact path which can lead us to achieve enlightenment or completely free from suffering. So therefore it is saying, who wish to have an end of suffering, they must cultivate this wisdom. So that's what it said. And as also I told you, what does this mean? That after we familiarize with all those above practice, and then our mind is very much become same with those those practice. And then the developing wisdom is that looking at itself, right? For instance, when you are meditating, and while you meditating, and if our meditative concentration becomes very focused, very still, right? Very still, right? Very still. Then what's happening? At that moment, that rest of the all other concept is calmed. And then mind is abiding, calm, abiding, right? This mind becomes very free of concept, other concept, but it have one concept, which is whatever the object, he catch that one, and then the mind stay with it. Other than that, rest of the other concept, it's stopped, ceased, calm, and then the mind abide upon whatever the mind focused. And then in meditate, based on a meditation, for example, I'm concentrating upon this cup. Then when I really able to focus upon this cup, and then my mind become very still with this cup, that really moment, rest of the other, my concept about the others forms and sounds and taste and rest of other is ceased, calmed, and my mind is abide on this object, the cup. And from that, now when we get to that stage, and then looking into itself means looking into the mind which is focusing on this cup, finding out that mind who is focusing on that cup, it becomes more easier. We can find it out. And if we unable to put our mind, if we unable to make our mind still, right? Still. How to make still? Focusing on one object. That's the method, right? This is the method to still our mind. And then when we're able to still our mind, then to watch itself, it's very easy. When we're able to watch itself, then we will find out its true face. That's what it's known wisdom now. As I told you, wisdom, see the things as it is. This is it now. In one way, it is so simple. It's very simple. And likewise, through this is through the meditation, right? Likewise, through the generosity, we can also do that. When we develop the sense of generosity by, for instance, let's say I'm seeing somebody or some poor, very poor beggar in front of me, and then I generate that sense with myself, oh, I really want to help him. And when that mind arises within myself, I actually automatically ceased rest of the other concept. At that very moment, my mind is only focusing on this poor beggar, and then only focusing on how can I solve or how can I contribute and support. That mind is only remain there. So rest of the other concept is calmed, abide my mind on how to support to that poor beggar. So this is also like a very much, this is also method, that that's why generosity and morality, from there to develop wisdom is very easy. Versus, but okay, now I'm just making you confused, so just don't go too much. So like that. So abiding in that, the sense of generosity, and then looking at itself. Right now, at this moment, I'm really generating the sense of generosity. Okay, so where is that sense that I'm really generating at this moment. Where is it? How it is looks. When we, it is just whether we look or not. That's it. If we look, we will definitely see it. And then also another problem could have is because that when we look at it and we see it, its true face, there's nothing to grasp. And then we scared. Oh, no, this cannot be. And then we just distract ourselves. Because we are failed to accept that true face. When we really saw its true face, and we little bit feel uncomfortable because that face which we saw, it's completely contradicting what we have habit so far, what we have pattern so far. It is exactly contradicting with our familiarity, our habit, our patterns. Therefore, we try to escape. We try to run away from this because it is exactly destroying my patterns, my habit, my so long built it, those strong grasping, right? It is really now directly penetrating, which cannot bear it, which we are unable to bear it. Therefore, we don't let this needle go in, push away. This needle is coming now. When you're really doing, this needle is coming and penetrating you. And it's pain. It has a pain. So we don't like to have that pain. Even it's for the good reason. Anyway, so this is in short, the developing wisdom. That's how. Okay. And then now from here, I would say, in this way, able to develop wisdom, it's very rare. It's hard. It's difficult. Developing wisdom through this way, that which I said, it also requires kind of like a enough study, maybe, or you encounter with some right guidance, and then without any suspect and questions, meditating upon it and accepting it, which is another challenge. So therefore now, from this next stanza, second stanza onward, so Shantideva trying to introduce or trying to let us develop wisdom with step by step, actually getting into that, conclude at the end, what I said, that's where it will going to conclude. But for us to accept that way, and that way of developing wisdom, as I told you earlier, that it is a little bit hard to accept. In one hand, it is so easy. On the other hand, it is so easy, that's why it is hard to accept. It is hard to accept because it becomes too easy that if you accept it, you feel like, how I lost it till now. That's why we are becoming like a little bit hard to accept. Okay, so now this is the one, the first stanza is the brief one. And then now, from the next stanza, now Shantideva guiding us, introducing us to develop this kind of wisdom. that wisdom which I told earlier, orderly, step by step to get there. Step by step to get that stage of development. Step by step developed for wisdom to get that stage. And then for that, and this elaboration. So now this elaboration, this is all actually one way Shantideva trying to establishing the view. And from this second stanzas. Okay, now we'll read the second stanzas, that the elaborate one, the elaborate introduction, how to develop wisdom within oneself. Kunzob dani tendam de dini dembani sunde tendam loi chuyul min loni kunzob imbara jus. So here, let me read this first, the second stanza. Relative and ultimate. This, the true truths are declared to be. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect, for intellect is said to be the relative. So now you see. So what it is really talking about here, relative and ultimate. So here, all the phenomena, whether it is phenomena, samsaric side phenomena, or nirvana side phenomena, doesn't matter. All the phenomena, see, all refers to samsaric side and nirvana side. Samsaric side means that it concluding all what we perceive, form and sound and everything, smell, taste, and what do you call it? Texture. Is it texture? And texture, feeling, and then the imaginations. Yeah, all this samsaric phenomena. And then dualistic, and all this afflictive emotions, and all these are categorized as a samsaric phenomena. Where nirvana phenomena means like wisdom's appearance, such as Buddha's pure land, and I don't know now what to say, rainbow bodies, and so on. All these phenomena. See now, phenomena from the samsaric side and phenomena from the nirvana side, that all this samsara can be summarized into these two things. There is a relative and ultimate. That the relative here, relative known as that relative means known as how we perceive, or the phenomena, how it appears. The appearance phenomena are considering as a relative. And then the phenomena, the natural stages of phenomena itself, it's the ultimate. That's what it means, ultimate and relatives. Here in Tibetan we say kunzop and tendam, right? Kunzop and tendam. So this, all the appearance of phenomena can summarize or can categorize within these two, what do you call it? Within those two subject, within, not subject, right? Within these two things. When we talk about the relative, it mainly talks from its appearance, the way it appears, it's all called, categorized as a relative. And then on the other hand, regardless of way it appears, don't worry about that appearance. More concerning about the way the phenomena stays as it stays. You understand what I'm trying to say? This is a little bit hard for me to, because my English. If we don't understand these two meaning, relative and true ultimate, then later it all mess up, because it's very talks from these two foundation. This two foundation needs to understand very clear here at this moment. So these, so relative and ultimate, these the true truths are declared to be. Declared to be what? These the true truths declared to be all the phenomena can categorize into this truth. Doesn't matter nirvana phenomena, doesn't matter samsaric phenomena. It can contains or summarized within this truth. Either it belongs to relative truth or ultimate truth. Now, the relative truth, it's more talking from the point of view of appearance. Ultimate truth, it's talking the point of view from the as it is, regardless of appearance. Appearance is not important from the ultimate point of view. So ultimate means that the in Tibetan we call the nangchul dam nechul ni. Nangchul nechul. Nangchul means the aspect of appearance and the aspect of its nature. Aspect of its nature and aspect of its appearance. So aspect of its appearance is as known as a relative, and aspect of its nature, it's known as a ultimate. This one actually, generally it is saying like that. Every philosophy and every those schools, when they summarize all the phenomena, it summarizes always into these two truths. In a mundane point, we don't really say this, but somehow meaning is there. Either we talk from the ultimate or we talk from the relative. So, okay, so to what I want you to understand, the relative means it more from the point of, how to say, it more point of view from the appearance. And ultimate means the aspect, it more from the point of view from the natural state of those phenomena. Appearance is not really important from this point of view. And from relative point of view, it all judged based on appearance. So that's what it called nangchul and nechul. So all this appearance aspect is known as a relative, and then all those natural aspect is known as an ultimate. Okay, so this is one. And then also the relative kun dzop, right? Kun dzop. Dzop means like a falls, wane, right? Wane and falls. Or we can some others say like outfit. Sometimes they use outfit, effigy, or outfit.
Effigy.
Effigy.
Effigy is, some people would say that Guru Rinpoche's statue is an effigy.
Yeah, like that. It is not real. Yeah, not real. Effigy. It's all appearance is just effigy.
Imputed.
Huh?
Imputed.
And they use also outfit. What does it mean, outfit?
I don't understand how they would use
Anyway,
that.
so the false or the vain, I think that's okay. When I find the dictionary, how to translate it, Tibetan word saying kunzop here, kunzop. In English, they use sometimes like effigy or outfit. But when I search just the zop, kun means all. All phenomena is false and vain. Vain, doesn't it really have its essence? It is just, we kind of like, what do you say? Our concept projecting, that's it. The way our concept projecting, actually it's not there, but we just labeling. This is just a labeling. So that's the job. So here now it's saying, aspect of appearance, all the aspect of appearance is actually vain, false, right? And then Thandam Demba, ultimate, the aspect of its nature is the unmistaken. Thandam means unmistaken. And true nature, Thandam Demba. Yeah, Thandam, Thandamba. Unmistaken, true nature, right? True nature. And then the aspect of the nature as it is. These are same meaning. So all phenomena, doesn't matter how much phenomena are there, can be summarized within these two truths. We can, when we understand this true truth very well, we understand all the phenomena. We understand all the phenomena. So here, this first two line, what Shantideva introducing is that all the phenomena can summarize into these two truths. Therefore, if anyone understood very well about this true truth, then they will understand all the phenomena. And then this next two line is now really introducing Shantideva his own view. This is his view now. The way he view is like this. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. That's what he view. This is really Shantideva's view now. He introducing his view. And when he introduced his view, and that view is also from the highest middle way school's view as well, because he is higher middle way school's practitioner. He is. So therefore, when he expressing his view, he expressing, anyway, so we don't need to go like this way. So this is introducing his view. Since he is the practitioner of this higher middle way school, then he will express the view of higher middle way school's view. Obviously, this is very kind of interdependent. interdependent. So now here, next two line is, we need to very careful to listen, because this next two line is becoming the rest of the debate, the source of the debate. And for intellect, it's said to be the relative, you know, that's what Shantideva view. If something can approach or can reach by our intelligent, right? Our intellect, then it all belongs to relative. It all belongs to relative. So doesn't matter how much higher intelligent you have, means doesn't matter how much high intelligent you have, and if you cannot go beyond, you will never able to develop the wisdom. To develop the genuine wisdom within oneself, and we have to go beyond our intellectual. This is what it means. Anyway, so the main thing from this next two line, it's introducing his view, the way he view to all phenomena. So here, the ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. What does it mean? Why? It is because the ultimate is free of characteristics. The ultimate is free of exists. Okay, here, the why ultimate is not within the reach of intellect, question mark, right? When we ask this question, the answer will going to become like this. So one way, the ultimate is free of characteristic. Therefore, in short answer, if you try to a little bit elaborate, because the ultimate is beyond or free of existing. So when we say it is free of existing, it is become non-exist, and then Shantideva go, it is also free from non-existing. You see, it is also free from non-existing. And then this ultimate is union or combination of existent and non-existent. You say, not, nor both, neither, not both. Understand now? You see, okay, in short, no, free of no existent, free of not and no existent, neither both, free of neither both, and free of nor not a both. You see, that's why it is not within the reach of intellect. Even when we talk, we lost. Look.
It's nice.
You see, that's what called ultimate. So therefore, ultimate is unable to reach by intellect. Because this, our intellect, only can see or judge or perceive either things are exist or not exist, or both, or not and not both. If things goes beyond this for existence, then right now, at this moment, I think we lost too. what he talking is. What is he talking? Is it? What is Shantideva telling here now? Which is ultimate now? What is ultimate? You see now, that's why it is not a within, that's why not within the reach of intellect. Because in short, because the ultimate is free of characteristic, therefore. If you short answer like this, if you long answer, because the ultimate is free of exist. And ultimate is free of non-exist as well. And not just that, even ultimate is also the free of both. And not just that, the ultimate is even more free than neither, not a both. See, even when we talk, we get lost. Is it? Are we getting lost here? We lost our object, where to point the ultimate?
But that's the idea, isn't it? You can't point it.
Yeah.
Not with your mind, not with intelligence. You can't point at it. It's unpointable.
See, that's what, okay. Anyway, in short here, Shantideva introducing his view upon all this phenomena. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. Why? It's because of that I explained. For intellect is said to be the relative. As long as things that can approach with the intellect, it's all belongs or categorized into relatives. Don't perceive as an ultimate truth. Ultimate. It is not ultimate. That's what Shantideva viewing here now. So this is now because the intellect, when we say intellect, it is kind of like a recognizing either exist or not exist. Mainly, most of the time, intellect only identified or recognize these two things. Even next two is difficult to reach by intellect either. Some situations are neither both, but rare. Even that kind of things are rare in this world. Most of the things in this world either exist or not exist. And either exist or not exist can be easy to recognize by our intellectual. Right? For instance, this cup exists in front of me. And that this existence of cup right in this spot, telling to my intellectual that in the same spot, other than the cup, any other things is not exist on this spot. So we can see through our intelligence, we can see easily existent things and non-existent things. So existent thing here, regards to this situation, the cup is existing. And then the other than cup, none of other paper and so on whatsoever, it's non-exist on this spot where the cup exists. So those non-exist, our intelligence also can see very clear. Now, both, it's a little bit difficult to see through our intellect even, isn't it? Existence and non-existence. This cup is exist, but at the same time, it's not exist. That's hard to perceive by our intellect. If this becomes hard for us, if this object, combination of exist and non-exist, hard to perceive, then ultimate is even become more hard to perceive. Because ultimate is even beyond than these two combination. Right? So whatever our intellect concept, the exist and non-exist, or both, neither, not a both, right? Both or neither, not a both, right? So in this way, whatever intellect perceive, and then what our intellect perceives, we also expressing through our verbal, that cup is exist, and cup is not, the paper is not exist in this, on this spot. On this spot, the cup is exist. Like that. When our intellect able to approach, then it also becomes expressible. Then all this expressible and intellectual approachable objects are known as a relative truth. That's what the Shandideva was introducing his view. And this is actually also the higher middle way school's view. Okay. And then next stanza, Tela jigden nami thom, nanjur padang palba wo, Tela jigden palba ni, nanjur jigden jine chings. Nanjur payang loche chi koma koma nam yes. Now from this, so now this from this third stanza, now it is talking about the Shandideva introduced his view and his definition of ultimate and relative, ultimate truth and relative truth. And to this ultimate truth and relative truth, how rest of the other schools perceiving, viewing about this true truth, then it comes from here, this saying, this 1.5 stanza. 1.5 stanza, it's talking about how the rest of the others schools, and including the mundane, right? Common run of people, they translate it like that, common run of people. How common run of people perceiving, viewing phenomena. And then how those here said yogi means that the yogi categorized including those Sharvakas, starting from Sharvakas and Swatantrikas, mind-only school and middle way school. These are considered as yogis. Okay, so let me read this in English. In light of this, within the world, two kinds of people are observed. Those with the yogi insight and the common run of people. In this regard, the views of ordinary folk are undermined by yogis who themselves are in the world, within whose rank the lower in degrees of insight are confuted by the higher. So this, until now, this 1.5 stanza. Actually, Shantideva goes very brief. He's not really elaborating. But since in order for us to understand the rest of the latter's debate, and it is also important for us to understand the main point or the main view of those each schools. Then later, when it comes debate, then we understand why they are debating in this way. So it's saying, to view this true truth, the way of viewing this true truth, there are two kinds of people are observed, right? Two kinds of people are observed. And who are those? Those with the yogi insight and the common run of people. So the now here, what does it mean, yogi? And what does it mean, common run of people? So that distinguish by like this. In a one way, it is distinguished like this. It is said that whether the person endowed with some quality of shamatha and vipassana or not. The yogi insight here, insight means intelligent, right? Kind of like understanding. Yogi insight. Yogi insight, understanding means now from the yogi, it means actually the one way, the here yogi means the person, those persons who endowed or who have the quality experience of shamatha and vipassana. And then on the other, the common run of people refers the person who doesn't have any of these qualities. Person who doesn't have any of these qualities known as a common run of people. And then person who have some those qualities, this refers as a yogi insight, one way. And then on the other hand, it can also be understood, I think, the yogi insight means who goes with the rational reasons. And those common run of people means doesn't need a really rational reason. They don't want to go through all these complicated things.
A cup's a cup.
Cups is cups. Where cup and which cup, we don't have to investigate that.
Yeah. What is a cup? We don't need to know.
So the yogi insight means those people who really want to understand the true nature of phenomena.
Or is it cup?
Yeah, true nature. They really want the yogi insight, who the person who really wants to know the true nature of phenomena. That's yogi insight. And then the common run of people means who doesn't bother to understand. Who doesn't bother to understand. That way we can understand the meaning of this yogi insight and the common run of people as well. Here, two ways, right? The first, how to distinguish these two. Keep in mind how to distinguish these two, yogi insight and the common run of people. First, it distinguishes whether the person have the quality of vipassana and what do you call it? Vipassana and shamatha in vipassana quality or not. That's one way of distinguishing between this yogi insight and common run of people. And other one is that the person who really have interested in understanding true nature of phenomena where the other doesn't really care about. So this, I think, battery is getting low. We need to change to low battery.
It's on the phone.
Slow down, slow down, slow down. Battery low. Charge. I'm sitting actually do it. We have some, I think. White wire. Is it? Not here, not under tip. Should be under tip, not in this back box. No, no, the back. This is back. Where is that white wire? Sorry for all of you. That's technology helping us to reach each other, as well as technology also causing problem that battery is down.
I don't know.
Lamanobu. Baila. It's good now. Yeah?
Okay.
It's better charging. Okay, so here it is Shantideva saying to view about this ultimate truth and relative truths. The way of viewing there are two kinds of people are observed. And those, one is those yogi inside, and then the other one is common run of people. And then as I also explained, how to distinguish between these two, the two way of distinguishing, right? And in this regard, the view of ordinary folk are undermined by yogis who themselves are in the world, who themselves are in the world. How? Okay, so how this view of the ordinary folk are undermined by yogis? I can tell you a little bit like example, like those how those scientists undermining that our ordinary view, same way, right? And we ordinarily talk about this water. We ordinarily talk water. In scientific talk what?
H2O.
HO2. H2O. Yeah. So ordinary people cannot perceive this H2O. We just perceive water, and it works for the water too. You see how scientists are undermining our view. Just like that. This is like that, as I told you earlier. The person who have a how to say, the second way of distinguishing between yogi inside and common run of people. A person who have an interest in understanding all the phenomena the way it is, with the rational way. Scientists are like that, right? They want reason. So actually, when it comes to the Sharvakasyanas, and then way of investigating about phenomena are very scientists. That's why it's talking about. So this is how can we understand this one? As I told you, example, how scientists are how scientists are undermining our view. Just like that, the views of the ordinary folk are undermined by yogis who themselves are in the world. Yes, who themselves are in the world, within whose rank, within those yogis, within those scientists, again undermined each other. When you see further analysis, and those further analysis, scientists can undermine those scientists who doesn't really how to say, deep investigated yet, right? So this is just like that, within whose ranks the lower in degree of insight are confuted by the higher. So here actually it talks about all these four classes now. Sharvakayanas. Okay, so this yogi, and then it is saying the lower in degree of insight are confuted by the higher. So which is higher, which is lower? So now within a yogi insight, Sharvakayanas, Sharvaka's view of all the phenomena, it's considering as the lowest way of viewing the phenomena. And then the actually among the 4 class, Swatantrika Yana's view, ultimately they are same. They believe in same things. But the Swatantrikas has some kind of like a, from the relative aspect, Swatantrika has more advanced view than the Sharvakas. That's the difference between the Sharvakas and Swatantrikas. Vibhashikas, also sometimes they say Vibhashikas, right? Sharvakas or Vibhashikas. These are Sanskrit actually. But so far, I think we only have this in English. So, Sharvaka, anyway, so Sharvakas, their view upon all phenomena, let me tell you this one. Their view upon all phenomena, they distinguish the relative and ultimate truth is those, what do you call them? The things, either it is like a, what do you call it? Innate? These are innate, right? Innate or consciousness. So either innate or consciousness. So Sharvaka view, this cup is relative truth. Yes, this cup is relative truth. It's not ultimate. Where, oh, I'm sorry, before I describe this yogi class, I should describe the common run of people. Within a common run of people has a 2 type. I forgot to tell you this one. It's also important. So the common run of people has a 2 type. The first type, those who doesn't have any influence of religious. The person, nowadays, I think we can find many and many, now even increasing, that when we ask something, what is your religious background? And they say, I'm not believer of religious, right? Non-believer. Normally they use a non-believer. So the non-believer is the one type of common run of people. And believer is the second common run of people. So the common run of people has a 2 type, okay? One is believer and another is non-believer. In short, what does it mean? Believer means the person who already influenced by religious belief, religious kind of like a, what to say, philosophy, not philosophy, like religious influence, religious belief. Where other common run of people who doesn't believe, non-believer means doesn't have any religious influence, kind of like a very free, doesn't have any religious influence. So the believer or the person who have a religious influence, the common run of people, are identified those as per according to the nowadays, the Christianity, Muslims, and even within a Hindu. These all considering as a common run of people influenced by religious. Because where they believe is they have this religion influence that everything is created by God. Or in a Hinduism, there are many different schools, but mainly these two things. It can be, there are many different schools, but can be summarized into these two, which is same as the Christian and Muslim. One is same as Christian and Muslim, which is believing in God, and God creates everything. Like that, there's a Hinduism like that. And then also there's a Hinduism that not believing in anything that they believe. Nihilism, yeah, nihilism. Believing in God and nihilism, right? This all has this religious influence. That's why we categorize this into the common run of people. The first type of common run of people who influenced by religious. And they view the God is ultimate truth, ultimate. And other than God is all relative. But they don't really say like distinguish like this way. But this is what it comes to the conclusion. The way they view, it comes to this. Only God is ultimate truth. Other than God, everything is just maybe relative truth. But even the common run of people those influenced by religious are also considering the cup is ultimate truth too. So the difference between the common run of people, non-believer or the not influenced by religious, is those people who don't care about who created, who is greater. But they just believe whatever they see, it's ultimate. Whatever they see tangible is ultimate. Whatever intangible, whatever cannot see, it's relative. Relative means wane, false. I told you, right? Wane, false. There can be appearance too. False can appear. Wane can appear. Anyway, so that's how should understand between different distinguish between this the what to say common run of people. Common run of people has two type of person. One with the influence by religious and other is not, right? It's only different between is that whether they're believing in creator or not, like that. And that those, okay, so for the common, we can accept dream as a relative truth. And whatever we're seeing here, we perceive as it is. We feel that we are perceiving as it is. That means for us, whatever we're seeing, including this cup, it's ultimate truth. And then where I'm seeing in my dream, this cup again, that's relative truth for me. That I can accept as a relative truth. It's false, it's vain. There's not really true cup exists there. It is just my dream. But this, no, this is true cup, which I can touch, which I can pour the water, which I can use it to reduce my thirst. So this is tangible, therefore it is truth, it is ultimate. As this is what as it is. I'm seeing as it is. That's why this is ultimate truth for me. right? So that kind of two type of running, common run of people. And then yogis, when it goes to the yogi inside, right? Within whose rank the lower in degrees of insight are confuted by the higher. So now this yogi has 4 schools. Now these are Sharvakas and Swatantrikas, mind-only school. Mind-only school, we have English. Mind-only school. Those Sharvakas and Swatantrika, we do not have in English. And then the Madhyamika, right? Middle way school. So all these 4 are categorized into the yogis, yogi insight, right? Yogi insight. Because they not just believing that whatever appears, they are not viewing just because of they perceive. They view the things with a thorough investigation, and then they come to the conclusion, determination. That's how they will view. They need some reason to view. So that now first Sharvakayanas and Swatantrikayanas, their view upon those all phenomena, they view that those things, I think now time is over. We may stop here. We can go this slowly, no problem. This has a very kind of like a, here Shantideva, what do you call her? Very brief that he just saying like this. In short, in a word, right? The within whose ranks the lower in degree of insight are confuted by the higher. And then he goes next, continue. But the what is understanding what means, who is the yogis? And without understanding all those, and then if we jump, go to the next, and then later they're debating with the middle way school and debate between the middle way school and common run of people, debate between the middle way school and the Sharvakas and Swatantrikas, and debate between the middle way school and the mind-only school. So without understanding all those yogis distinguish inside, and then their view, without understanding their view, and debate, if you go direct to the debate, and then we get lost what they are really debating. So therefore, okay, we can just go slowly here. Okay, now time is up, so we make any stop here. So now we dedicate. Sunam de tamje zibanye tomne nye benda nam tamje ne sheganan ji walon to buy sibin zolendo wando rasho jambol bawe jidara kimbanda kundu sambo te ande jinde deda kunji jeson daloji yewan de da tamje rabungo yewan de shivukan Sunam Yishi Tsozone, Sunam Yishi Lechungwe, Tamba Kunyin Tobrasho, Sanje Kusum Nyebe Shinlanda, Chunye Minjur Dembe Shinlanda, Gendin Miche Dembe Shinlaki, Jidrangoa Melam Jobarsho. So now we read in English. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, anger, delusion, May I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyam, and in the same way as Samindapatra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, Swanam, and wisdom, Yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies, which result from this two accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sangye, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Chuni, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Kendu, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Have a good day.